Hey Zen fam. So, finally, back with proper green screen. Sorry the last couple of videos have been, super basic, but I had to be quick with them, and doing it on the phone / tablet was the quickest way to get those particular videos out to you at that time. So of course I apologise for the lower production values and lower quality sound, but sometimes the news happens as the news happens. As we're talking about videos, before I get into this one, I would like to say, looks like I'm not going to be able to bring you the launch night video. There's now, as I'm sure you're well aware, a high probability that I will not be able to bring you the waiting outside the store launch night video. Chances are I'm probably going to have to get the system on launch day. No fancy queuing, probably no interesting promotions. Just buy the system, bring it home. But if you still want an unboxing video, typey down below, let me know. Okay, so you probably were looking at the thumbnail for this video and going, uh-oh? What do you mean, uh-oh? Forgive me if somebody else has said this, but as far as I've been able to say, nobody else out here in the YouTube gaming land is really talking about this. So I think you may allow me to be the first. I think IGN is in trouble. Now, okay, a lot of people out here are like, I don't care about IGN, that is the big corporate thing. Let them go. I don't care. They just take money for reviews and do all kinds of shenanigans. They're not really about the gamer, they're not really about gaming, they're just a corporate entity. And in some manners, I'd agree with you. But there are some good people at IGN. And, they've started a lot of great careers. I mean, look at Greg Miller. Look at Kinda Funny. If IGN had not existed, Kinda Funny wouldn't exist. But look at Kinda Funny. I mean, the way they have the best friends community and stuff, the content they produce, the vibe they have. I mean, they do good work, and they've inspired others. Like What's Good, like What's Good Games. They were inspired by that kind of thing. And so many people have come from IGN to other sort of platforms. I mean, look at Alana Pierce, Colin Moriarty with his Sacred Symbols podcast, Ryan Clement, who eventually went to work at PlayStation, Andrew Goldfarb, who's now working for Sucker Punch, and had a hand in Ghost of Tsushima. I mean, come on. You don't need me to stand here and tell you about all the positive things that have come from IGN. If you have any kind of understanding of gaming history over the last decade or so, you know all this to be true. But here's the thing. Two of my favourite people in the current IGN setup, Max Scoville and Brian Altano. Awesome guys. Great content makers, personable, friendly, and quite frankly, really entertaining. To me, I really love what they do. I really do. I mean, I love Up at Noon. I've loved it since its original version with Greg Miller, way back in the day. And of course they do Podcast Beyond and stuff. They're really good guys, they know what they're talking about, or if they don't know what they're talking about, they make up for being really entertaining and trying really hard to just sort of be personable on screen. They're just all round proper entertainers. They're basically like me with just more opportunities. Well, that and they're American, but we won't hold that against them. But yeah. So, recently, Brian Altano put out a tweet saying about how him and Max had to clear out their desk. Now, if you've never seen it, their desk at IGN, it was a thing of beauty because it was covered in collectibles, all kinds of things, all manner of knickknacks and geekism. It was a thing of beauty to behold, you know, if you're into that kind of thing. And I got myself a nice wee collection of things. You know, I'd like more. I'd like a man cave, but you know, 'tis not on the cards at this point in my existence. Anyway, so now that desk looks like this. Tragic, isn't it? And the reason it looks like that is because IGN, the gigantic behemoth, you know, video games, movies and pop culture website, is having to move out of its building in, you know, in central San Francisco, and they're having to downgrade to a smaller block. And chances are, the way it's going, they'll probably only have that for video production, and everybody else, all the staff, all the writers, all the editors, all the people that make the graphics and do the background stuff and all the rest of it, will all end up working from home. And some of the flavour that what makes IGN will be lost, because if you don't get to hang out with your workmates, you don't have that same rapport. You know what it's like at your job if you have one. If you manage to keep hold of it during Voldemort. You have a banter with your workmates, even the ones you didn't like. And I'm sure we've all worked with people we don't like, but still, there's a bond, there's a commonality, and the people at IGN have that in spades. But will this exist once they're all just doing it from home? I don't know if that can really work. And, you know, will the productions have the same joie de vivre if they're all just sitting at home making content and like conducting podcasts through Zoom? They can't be there face to face. I mean, every podcast I've ever been in, whether it be Foxy Games UK or State of Gaming or any of the other podcasts I've done, like one, even on the non-gaming ones, like when I'm doing with the unmonetizables. I love doing the unmonetizables. If you've not heard it, come along, listen. Now you have to pay for the Patreon and listen to it though, but we're live on the Sunday, so if you come along and listen, we'll give you a chuckle. But do be warned, it's not safe for work. Anyway, I'm getting off track. So this got me thinking, if IGN is in trouble, big as it is, you know, with as much funds as they have to throw about, as well known as it is within gaming media circles and just media in general, then we got troubles, ladies and gentlemen. Because think of all the other gaming outlets. We've already seen Kotaku take some serious damage this year, you know, through admittedly other things, but Voldemort's not going to help that. And then like Giant Bomb and you name it, all these gaming outlets, even some of the smaller ones like Game Ranks, I mean, they have an office in New York. That can't be cheap. So, you know, if they can't be in the office making the content, then they obviously can't get the ad revenue. They can't get the ad revenue, they can't pay the staff. They can't pay the staff. Staff can't be there to make this content. And it all trickles down. And therefore, you know, the media gaming industry becomes weaker and weaker and weaker. And therefore we'll start to lose things like, you know, like E3 presentations. If E3 ever gets to come back, if it keeps on like this, there won't be the money from these companies or the will to go to the LA Convention Centre for like a week and a half and set up and make stuff and then bring everything down and take it back and edit it and all the rest of it. There won't be the money or the will to go to Germany for Gamescom. You know, so many things will just stop. And that's all kinds of horrible and stuff I just don't want to contemplate. You know? I mean, no more live streams of up and coming games that are about to come along and blow our minds. No more first impressions. No more, you know, unboxings and stuff and competitions and general just fun content. All of this runs the risk of going away. And it's like, and if that starts to go away, what's it going to do to little creators like me? You know? Because sometimes a lot of the stuff that comes from these bigger sites, little creators like me use these sources to get some of the news for you guys. I mean, yes, okay, there's written articles and stuff from many tech websites, but it could just very easily be the start of the rot. You know? The less money there is floating about, the less the websites are able to do, the more they'll cut back, You know, there'll be less videos, probably less articles, there'll be less staff. Staff will start to get burned out, so they'll have to cut back what they do because they can't have the same reach of ambition of content as they did before. And it just goes down in circles and circles and circles, the plug hole. And we could lose so much. You know? It's not just, you know, oh, I like this guy that makes videos online. We could, you know, theoretically lose all news. And it wouldn't be anymore the case of like, whoa, so what? The big creators are gone. That means the little creators can come up. That may be true to an extent. But we little creators, we need the big creators because they get access to the development teams and to the studios and the console makers, so they actually produce the news that we can report upon. You know, either by regurgitation, you know, like say Django Gaming. By the way, you should watch him. He's a good YouTuber. He's a good guy. You know, he's just an honest YouTuber. Doesn't try to be all fancy with it. He does, you know, gives you a little bit of opinion, gives you a fair chunk of news, and he's just a decent bloke. You know, little guys like Django Gaming, slightly less little guys like me, you know, who are trying to not be quite so little. You know, even to the likes of, you know, Jacksepticeye or, you know, Foxy Games UK. Big up Foxy. That's good memories of doing the game account for you back in the day, man. But yeah, it's like if these news sources don't exist, then we're going to be able to. We won't have as much content to make. And then what we're going to be left with? Minecraft videos? Nah. This can't stand. Something needs to happen. I mean, first and foremost, we need to get control of Voldemort. You know, this whole situation that's kicking off at the moment, I can't even name properly because of YouTube's little rules. We need to get this under control. We need to get our hands, faces and spaces. We need to get those masks on, and they need to come up over your nose. Okay? This needs to happen. We need to look after each other a bit more. We need to be more mindful of what the situation is and what we can do as individuals to react properly as a group to fix it. You know, that's what we need. We need to be able to come together finally as a community, which is what we technically are. We are a gaming community. We need to act like it a bit more. We need to drop console wars and, division, and there was like, you're a fake gamer and all that kind of nonsense. We need to understand that gaming is cool and that we have power together. I know, I'm preaching here, but the fact of the matter is, there are entire fandom for whatever part of gaming you're into right now hangs in the balance. This is the seed of the moment. This is where it all hinges. You look at any kind of historical, parallel to this. There's a moment where you can see where it all started, and this feels like one of those moments. It really does. We could very well be looking at the start of the disintegration of games media. And once it's gone, do you really see it coming back? Look at games magazines. They're all but dead. There's about half a dozen of them, and nobody buys them. I mean, look at how much on Facebook you see like official PlayStation magazine going. Get the magazine for £1 a month for the first 6 months. It's like, because they're desperate to sell your magazines. And you know why they're desperate to sell your magazines? Because nobody's buying them. Why is nobody buying them? Because they can go online and watch somebody like me, or bigger than me, or even lesser than me, give them that news for nothing. For nothing. You know how much a games magazine costs these days? Anywhere from £4.50 to £6. £6 for news that's a month late. Nobody's gonna do that. A few people might do for competitions or because they like the writing style, but that medium is dying. I mean, look at newspaper sales if you don't believe me. Books are doing okay, but that's because books don't age. You can enjoy a book forever, but something like a newspaper or a periodical magazine, that has a limited shelf life. It really does, apart from a few examples where you can go back and reread them. I mean, in those kinds of cases, you're talking like National Geographic, New Scientist, maybe. And then TV. Gaming has been on TV, yes. I mean, and on my little side of the Atlantic, we've had, let's see, Bad Influence, Games Master. The Games Master ran for quite a lot longer than Bad Influence. And then we were left behind for a few years. Then we had things like Thumb Bandits and Bits, which were brilliant. Thumb Bandits was first, then it was Bits, yeah, definitely. And then we got a little bit of craziness from up here in the north, in Scotland. We gave the world a Video Gaiden. Video Gaiden, that was joy. Pure joy. We only got maybe 6 episodes a year for 3 or 4 years, and they're all on YouTube. I think I might still have the playlist in my playlist, so you can go through my playlist and see them. They were fantastic. And it's and there've been other little things here and there, and we've had Go 8-Bit by Darrow O'Brien. And there was I remember back at the time of Games Masters and Fun Bandits, there was also one on Sky. I forget his name. It's just but you don't really get gaming stuff on TV for a little while. There was a channel that was doing it on cable, but they could never keep the advertising revenue going. They could never keep the channel going because it had a limited run of its hours, and there just wasn't the focus behind making quality content, because it started small and it couldn't grow because there was nothing to grow with, because there was no money spent on it. It was a circular argument. We're not spending any money, so we're going to make cheap content. We can't make better content because we've got no money. And this could very well be the thing that kills online games media, because once the money starts to disappear and the cuts start to happen, then more money disappears and more cuts and more disappearing and more cuts and gone, or reduced to such a level that, like, it could be the case that within 5 years gamers will be going like, hey, you remember when we used to watch, like, Fire Team Chat on IGN, or I used to listen to PS I Love You XOXO podcast on Spotify from Kinda Funny. All that could go. Now, admittedly, Kinda Funny and What's Good Games and stuff like Married to the Games, a lot of that stuff is held together by people contributing on stuff like Patreon. Admittedly, I'd like to do Patreon someday, but I'm too small right now. But, these are things that have to be considered. That if we can't do something soon, if we can't improve the situation, we could lose everything we have. That's tragic. I don't want to see that. You don't want to see that. So I implore you, let your friends know, let your family know, your colleagues at work know, your neighbours, whatever. Whoever you hang out with, wherever you go, try and get it to the point where the whole idea of not looking after each other just will not stand. Hands, faces, spaces. Okay? Mask on, nose in the mask. Sanitize. Okay? Because this whole thing that's been kicking off for most of this year, it's doing more than just, killing people. It's killing everything people like. Can't go to a pub, can't go to a restaurant. For the longest period of time, I was off work. Now, I make no secret of the fact that I hated my job at the time, because I was a coffee monkey and I hated it. And admittedly, making money for nothing was fantastic, and you saw how much content I was putting out for you guys. It was brilliant. But a situation like that cannot last. England is about to go into a second lockdown, and if we don't get it together, Scotland could join it. That's part of the reason why yesterday I had to put in all the monies for the PlayStation 5 that I'm getting, because the store I get it from might close. Not close, but be locked down closed. And if it's locked down closed, then obviously the only thing open to the store is click and collect. And it was click and collect. You guys don't get an unboxing video. Well, not an unboxing video, but you don't get a lineup video. You don't get that hype moment of launch night. I don't get that hype moment of launch night. And think of all the other hype moments we're going to lose. It's all really, really sucky, and I'm starting to depress myself, and I imagine I'm probably depressing you right now. Okay, alright, at some point I've got to do a how the sausage is made video. Try and give you guys some different kind of content, and hopefully next time I come before you I have at least happier news, or maybe an unboxing video if you guys want it. Like I say, typey down below, let me know. Alright? think that's a new slogan for the channel. Speaking of slogans, it's time I use the ending one. You know the drill, guys. Hashtag support Scottish YouTubers, and of course, as always, aye, nae bother.